Heyyyy Refreshers, Nicole Lauren, Home Fresh and Style. So I wanted to do something super different and special for the month of March, and here's why. So I absolutely love springtime and summer. If you guys follow me, you know that the beach is my jam. I'm there all the time. I love the warm weather, the warm clothes, the bathing suits, the fresh air. I literally just dropped off my kiddo at school and I had a little bit of time, so I'm like, I'm gonna go on a walk. And I'm like, I gotta turn on my camera for this because I was just walking by this flower I'm going to show you that I'm coming back to, and it just got me thinking that the whole month of March we're going to talk about spring and fresh beginnings and our spring checklists and cleaning, but I looked at these flowers and I caught myself like stopping and smelling them. And first of all, I can't keep flowers alive. So I'm not one to plant, but I'm one that loves to look at different flowers, and I just love the idea of something growing and starting out in the ground as a seed, and it needs love to grow, right? It needs water, it needs sunshine, I've even heard my friends that actually have plants, they need to be around positivity. I've seen those science projects where they grow when the environment is fresh and positive, and they don't when it's negative and when it's dark, which is fascinating. One of God's great creations, right? It's just fascinating. But I had this idea, and I was wondering why we don't bloom where we're planted. And I know you guys have probably heard that before. If you haven't, I think it might be even a Bible verse, but I hear it all the time. And bloom where you're planted, blossom where you're planted. And the way I take that is so cool. And this is how I want you guys to relate this today. Okay, so follow with me. Come on a walk with me. I'm like literally, I couldn't even sit in my car and do my video. I'm like, I got to get some sun and some fresh air. So bloom where you're planted, right? So how many of you in your life, and I know I can speak for myself, I know that I have fallen into this trap. How many of you in your current situation now, or a situation in your past, you've been stuck, you've been somewhere, and you take your current situation that you're in and you let that define you, and you live in the negativity, and you're like, I hate this job, I'm not gonna go anywhere, I'm not getting promoted, 3 other people got promoted in front of me, so I'm not gonna bloom where I'm planted. How many of you are in a relationship that you feel stuck? How many of you feel like your marriage is falling apart? Or maybe you started dating someone and it's just not the right path, but you don't have the courage to say something. Or maybe your kids are out of control and you're in a season where you guys have had loss, financial loss. You can't get control, and you're like, this is my destiny. You're gonna live and be miserable. So my kids are acting up, I'm miserable. I can't leave this relationship. I don't think I could do it on my own, I'm miserable. Maybe I chose the wrong person to marry, I'm miserable. Maybe I'm in the wrong career path, I'm miserable. I started my own business and it's failing, I'm miserable. Instead of having all those thoughts, what if we just bloomed where we're planted? And what if we actually stopped for a second and thought, I'm exactly where I need to be, and I'm gonna bloom where I'm planted. So where I'm at in that relationship, I'm gonna bloom. I'm either gonna find something within myself that I need to learn, or I'm gonna make the steps that I need to make it work. Or at the job that I'm at, I can't leave yet. I still feel like I need to be at this job, or maybe I have to stay at this job. I'm gonna bloom where I'm planted. I'm gonna do the best I can do. I'm gonna be the best I can be where I am. I'm gonna blossom. Do you ever see, like in the road, like where a plant, like oh, I just passed it. Like, look at this. Can you see it? Can you see this? I hope you could see that because I couldn't lift my camera up that high. But it's green growing from concrete. Like, how does that even happen? It's not supposed to grow in concrete. And I think the idea that we miss is we're always striving for more. We're always striving for, I gotta go here. I gotta change my life here. Once I get here, we forget to stop and smell the roses because we think once I find that special person, I'll be better. Once I get that job promotion, my life's gonna be better. Once I'm making 6 figures, my job is gonna be better. And we always put that into our minds, and we're not living in the moment, and we're thinking, okay, well, once I get there, once I reach that, what about now? What if we didn't have tomorrow? Like, what if you've been waiting 6 years for that job promotion and it never comes? You just wasted 6 years of your entire life on what? Waiting for something that's not gonna happen? Something that's not in the cards for you? You spent 6 years hoping and dreaming that your situation would change, and then you're gonna look back and be like, I was miserable for 6 years. I was waiting for the what if, I was waiting for the next step. I was waiting to reach all my goals. I forgot to enjoy the ride, and I forgot to bloom where I was planted. I think so many times, goals are great. Like, you guys know that I am a huge goal setter, and it's something that within me I have to work on, that when I accomplish those goals, I need to stop and smell the roses. Tulips, actually, because I don't like roses. Who likes tulips or roses? Drop in the comments what's your favorite flower. I love tulips better than roses. So I need to stop and smell the tulips, because along the way, I am so goal oriented that I'm just like, okay, we did it, on to the next. Okay, we did it, on to the next one. Okay, we did it, on to the next one. That I don't enjoy the ride sometimes. And you have to stop yourself, and you have to make sure that you enjoy the ride along the way. But what if we literally, like, what if in that miserable job you're in right now? What if in the marriage you're in right now? What if in the financial situation you're in right now? What if you bloomed? I'm gonna challenge you. What if you bloomed where you were planted? God planted you somewhere right now in a situation. None of us are exactly where we wanna be. There's always one area of development we can find in our life. For me, I have so many business goals. I have so many goals within myself, for my family, for my kids. There's so much that I can work on. But I am not miserable where I'm at. I'm blooming where I'm at. I'm always trying to take my current situation and bloom and blossom and find the best possible thing I can pull out of it. And it's actually a good way to find the lesson in your situation. If something's not going the way you want it to be, if something didn't turn out the way you wanted, I challenge you to look at the situation with different eyes. And I challenge you to find the best possible thing that can come out of it. I shared a few weeks ago I had a relationship change. I'm on divorce number 2. It's not an ideal situation. I had a lot of self-reflection I needed to do. I needed to look in the mirror. I needed to not feel guilt. I needed to, make sure I make better choices for me and my family in the future, and wonder why I got myself into a situation like this again. So that took a lot of self-reflection, right? And that's not a place where I want to be planted. I don't want to be planted in those emotions. I don't want to live in those emotions. But we got to visit them. We got to go through it. And I think the key is I'm blooming where I'm planted. So I took that situation, and instead of having hate, instead of yelling at the other person, instead of focusing on everything the other person did wrong, in my opinion, instead of hearing people talk, I decided to look in the mirror and say, okay, what did I do wrong? Because there's 2 sides to every story, right? So what did I do wrong in the situation? If you are at a miserable job at work and you're like, okay, so did I make the wrong choice coming in this career path? Or is it just, I work with the wrong person? I'm planted here. I'm planted in this divorced life. I'm planted in this job path. I'm planted in this financial crisis. I'm planted where I just lost my job. I'm planted here. But I'm gonna bloom here. I'm gonna blossom here. And I'm going to turn this into something amazing, because I'm gonna learn from it. And that's some of our best lessons. I don't think we go through anything in this life without having to learn from it, right? And that's the biggest secret that I can share with you guys, is whatever situation you're facing today, I want you to bloom in it. I want you to be that flower or piece of green patch that comes up from the ground and blooms when no one thought it could. Usually plants need soil, they need sunshine, they need love, they need all of those things to bloom, right? But sometimes they just bloom where they're planted. And we don't know how. We look at them and say, look at those situations that plant had. How on earth did it bloom like that? How on earth, it's been so raining, there was a hurricane, or how on earth did that happen? It happened. And it happened because we are made to adjust and adapt to our surroundings. We're not always going to be put in the best situations. And if you wake up every day thinking your life's going to be perfect, people aren't going to hurt you, and everything's going to go your way, you're going to get every job promotion you want, your kids are going to be little angels, you're never going to be late, your business is going to be booming, your relationships are never going to have trouble, you're going to be disappointed every single time. So why not, let's look at this a little different and bloom where you're planted today. So I challenge you to drop in the comments. I'm out of breath. It's hot. I took this little power walk. I'm going to stop near the I'm gonna stop near the flowers. So I challenge you today to first drop in the comments, tell me your story. Tell me the current situation that you are in that you feel like it's really hard to bloom right now. That you've been listening to this video and you're like, yeah, I hear you, girl, but I don't want to bloom where I am right now. Or it's really freaking hard to bloom where I'm at right now. I get it. There's been seasons of my life. I just have been in one. There's been seasons of life in my life where I'm like, I don't want to bloom here. I just don't want to bloom here. Or it is really hard. Like, do you know it's going to take everything in me to find one good thing in this situation? There's a lot of things that happen in this life that we're not happy about. You know, there's a lot of things that happen that we don't have control about, that we feel like we can't change. But I challenge you to have the outlook and bloom wherever you're at. Whatever your situation is right now that you are not happy with, that you are not content, that you don't think it's your calling, you don't think it's meant for you. I'm not saying to have a goal list. Have a goal list. Try to get yourself, you know, if you do want to make a change in your relationship, if you do want to make a change in your career, if you do want to set new rules in your house, if whatever it is that you want to change, I'm not saying to not have goals. Have those goals, strive for those goals, kick those goals' butts, okay? But bloom where you are today, because you know what it's gonna do? It's gonna help you reach those goals. And if you bloom where you are, you might just realize that you were meant to stay in the situation. Because maybe you were meant to grow. Maybe you were meant to be challenged. Maybe you were meant to be in that situation, to see and to tell your story of how you can overcome it. I know for me, it's taken years in the making. Something used to happen to me, a certain situation used to come my way, and I'd be like, why is this happening? I'm a big prayer. So I'd be like, why are you allowing this to happen in my life? I thought I made the right choices. What is going on? How do I fix it? But for me, I look for the lesson now. I literally get excited and I look for the lesson every single time, because I'm like, I'm meant to share my story to help one other person. So imagine if you took a bad situation and you bloomed through it and you blossomed and you hit every single wall and every single challenge and you just knocked it in the face and you overcame it and you bloomed where you were planted, and either you realized that the situation you thought was really bad really wasn't, or maybe it led you to another situation and you bloomed and you grew and you got confidence and it brought you somewhere else. It's either gonna make you stay where you are and continue to grow there, or it's gonna shift you and you're gonna grow somewhere else. But bloom where you're planted today. I think it's a great concept to think about going into spring, going into the refreshing months, and just having those moments of self-reflection and self-blossoming, and just going out and just taking a walk and just going to look at the flowers and see if you can spot that one little piece of grass growing in the concrete, or that flower growing in a wall. It's crazy. It's so crazy. You can be that flower growing in the wall. You can do it. It just takes a little bit of mindset shift. You got to just change your thoughts a little bit. So I challenge you to get outside. The weather is getting a little bit warmer. I challenge you to go on those power walks. I challenge you to clear your mind, and I challenge you to find some kind of flower. Find a flower. It doesn't even have to be growing in the concrete. If it is, even better. But just find a flower and just smell it and just sit there. Just sit in front of it for a minute and just think about your current situation and what you want to change and kind of where you feel stuck. And instead of giving up and instead of turning the other way, I want you to bloom where you're planted. And there's certain situations you're gonna walk away from. There's certain situations that are not meant for you. But those concepts and that decision is gonna come in that blooming period, because sometimes it's at our peak bloom season. It's when we're a full-grown tree or a full-grown flower that we realize we're made for more. So bloom where you're planted doesn't always mean staying still. It means making the best of the current situation you're at, blooming in it, and let that guide you. It's either gonna keep you where you're at and you're gonna be the best version you could be where you're at, or you're gonna bloom and grow and it's gonna take you somewhere where you're supposed to grow and go. So I challenge that for you today. Please drop it in the comments. Getting to know a little bit about Nicole at the end of all of my videos. I absolutely love being outside. I'm not like a naturey girl. Like, I don't want to go hiking and sweating, and I'm not like adventurous in that way. But when it comes to walking and enjoying nature and seeing flowers and going to the beach and seeing the ocean and the sand, I love the outside, and whenever I'm feeling a little like my walls are caving in, or whenever I feel a little stressed out, I love the wind blowing in your hair and the fresh air, and it's just a good refresh and a good start. So I challenge you to get outside. If you live in a state where it's a little chillier still, just hold tight because the warm weather is on its way. Spring is coming, and if you have not already hit that red subscribe button, I'd love you to hit the subscribe button, and you can check me out on Facebook and Instagram. Join this journey with me. Ring that bell so you guys never miss a beat or a basket or a flower nature walk with your girl, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.